Hi there. This is my reflection for our class for Module 5, Regulating the Digital Economy. And we had Bianca come in and lecture and raise some very interesting topics of conversation. But I'll start with what the reflection question was: is what do we think about considerations as a citizen when it comes to around the intentions of open government, which is to share data that will encourage innovation and allow other organizations outside of government to positively leverage data in areas government can't or doesn't have the capacity to. And we really focused in this module, particularly with Bianca's talk, on sort of this idea of the social license, and oftentimes, as she brought up the point that technology goes ahead without an approval of a social license. And when I think about this as a citizen, and as a citizen that's politically engaged and thinks about these issues in terms of policy, that idea is really interesting, because I think a lot of times when we're thinking of policy issues like healthcare, immigration, the economy, transportation, we definitely have to find roles for government. We have to find roles for the not-for-profit sector. We have to find role for the private sector. And there's sort of a shared understanding of what those roles are or what should be. And, opinions and perceptions of what those roles should be deviate, only slightly. But when it comes to open government, I don't think we've actually had that conversation as a public, and I think it's important that we do have that conversation as a public, and that's how we're going to be able to determine what the role of the government is going to be in regulating open government, in regulating and playing a role in digital governance, and I think something that we have to have the conversation as a public, as a citizenry, in order to determine, and since it intersects in so many ways with some of the policy issues that I talked about earlier in this reflection. I think sometimes it gets lost in the background, and it's still fairly new, this idea of open government. So I think over the next couple decades, I think as a citizenry, I think we're really going to start thinking about some of the implications of what type of regulations government have to put in place. This sort of open sharing data model, and what are some of the limits and privacy concerns that regular citizens have around all of these initiatives. So that's sort of my thoughts on Module 5, regulating the digital regulating the digital economy. Yeah, thank you for listening.